For decades, the bedrock of journalism and democracy itself has rested on a simple premise: seeing is believing. But as Nigeria prepares for the 2027 general elections, we confront a chilling reality where your own eyes can be used to deceive you. We're no longer just dealing with misleading headlines. Today, sophisticated artificial intelligence can clone voices, manipulate videos, and broadcast hyper-realistic propaganda directly into our WhatsApp groups in under 60 seconds. Yet, the ultimate peril of this technology is not just that you will believe a lie. It is what media experts call the liar's dividend. When anything can be faked, public figures gain the perfect escape hash. You know, we saw this play out when a viral video surfaced of Senator Adams Oshomole massaging a lady's foot aboard a private jet. His media team immediately dismissed the footage as an AI fabrication, even though, according to Business Day reports, that the independent forensic tools later confirmed the video was completely authentic. This is the real threat to our democracy. In this upcoming election cycle, when a politician is caught in a genuine act of corruption or misconduct, their easiest defense will be, that's just an AI deepfake. When everything can be simulated, accountability dies. So, how do we spot the difference? True deepfakes leave digital footprints. The technology is already here, and it is not going away. It can only be used maliciously to destroy reputations, or it can be deployed by journalists and electoral bodies to track disinformation. The defining question tonight is, are Nigerian institutions, our media, and fundamentally you, the voters, prepared for an election cycle where the truth itself is up for debate? To discuss this topic, the deepfake election, is Nigeria ready for AI politics, is Nkem Agonwa, Associate Director of Programs, Witness.org. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's indeed a pleasure to be here today.
All right, let's get straight into it. What do you think, moving into 2027, what is going to be the impact of AI?
That's an interesting question. The scale of the challenge has changed the landscape dramatically. Artificial intelligence has unfortunately lowered the barrier to creating convincing false content. Today, someone with a smartphone device and widely available AI tool can generate videos, images, audio, text, even websites with far less technical skill, time, or cost than ever before. And what is even more precarious is that it can be tailored to specific audiences and spread rapidly across platforms. So for a country like Nigeria, where our democracy is still evolving and where divisions along ethnic, religious, and political lines can be easily exploited, this presents a significant challenge. We know that the periods leading up to elections is often marked by heightened political tensions, and at times election-related violence. That's a real threat that we have to have at the back of our minds. So AI makes it much easier to create and spread convincing false content at speed and scale, which can inflame existing divisions, fuel mistrust, and disrupt the information environments on which free and fair elections actually depend on.
So what do you think can be done about this? You know, currently I don't even know if there's any legislation towards that effect in terms of trying to prevent the damaging impact of what artificial intelligence could be used for. So do you think, you know, we need to sort of infuse into our legislation? What does INEC need to do to sort of checkmate how AI images and AI videos are being used in politicking?
I would say that the goal shouldn't be to regulate AI itself. It should be to regulate the harmful use of AI while protecting freedom of expression and legitimate political debate. Any legal reform should start from a human rights framework that protects freedom of expression while preventing real-world harm. So that means laws should focus on the use of AI that infringes on people's rights. For example, content that deliberately deceives voters, incites violence, facilitate non-consensual intimate imagery, which is a real threat. Over 90% of deepfake use cases are of women in non-consensual intimate context. So we have to watch for this on how it undermines the safety and participation of journalists, activists, and other at-risk communities. We must also do this at the same time. The law must protect legitimate political expression. Satire, for example, is a protected expression. These must be protected. Investigative journalism and artistic creativity must also be protected. Democracies need space for criticism and debate, even when AI is used as a creative tool. So it's really not to regulate AI itself, but to regulate the harmful uses of it. And that's why, as Witness, our perspective is that regulation should be proportionate. It must be grounded in human rights framework. And it has to center the rights of the most vulnerable amongst us. So the focus should be on preventing harm, increasing transparency, ensuring accountability from the technological companies, and providing effective remedies for whose rights have been violated, and more importantly, not restricting expression or innovation. So ultimately, the goal is to build an information ecosystem where people can participate freely, trust authentic information, and hold power to account without sacrificing their fundamental rights.
Okay. In line with that, do you think political parties should be mandated to disclose whether artificial intelligence was used in any of their materials? Be it a video, be it a picture. Do you think the political parties have to be mandated to disclose when putting out those material that part of the material or all of the material was generated using AI?
Absolutely. At the very least, political parties should be required to clearly disclose whenever campaign materials have been created or significantly altered using artificial intelligence. Voters deserve to know when they are interacting with AI content or when any piece of material that they encounter has been altered in any form using artificial intelligence. This is so they can make informed decisions. But I would say that disclosure alone is not enough. INEC also needs a broader set of guardrails to protect the integrity of the information environment. And these guardrails should include a rapid response protocol to assess and publicly address harmful deepfakes or manipulated content during election periods before they spread widely. Secondly, we have to look at stronger partnerships. And this is also something that INEC has to strengthen partnerships with social media platforms to quickly identify, label, and limit the spread of demonstrable, manipulated election content. Also, I would add that we have to create a more robust environment for the support of independent fact checkers and media organizations, ensuring that they have access to the expertise and tools needed to verify suspicious content quickly. And the underlying word there is quickly. And then finally, public awareness campaigns. We really cannot overemphasize that enough. Citizens need to know and recognize manipulated media and where to verify questionable content before sharing it. So clearly, we have to have clear reporting and complaint mechanisms that allow political parties, journalists, and members of the public to flag suspected AI-generated election disinformation for rapid review. And INEC sits at the center of this.
Okay, fantastic. Now, another worrying issue is the fact that sometimes even real videos can be reported as AI, especially when it puts a particular figure or a particular political party in a negative light, and it gets out there. Let's say a journalist was able to, get a footage and releases the footage, and it's not good for the candidate or it's not good for the political party, and they now issue a memo saying that it's AI. So where do we now draw? How do citizens clearly identify what is AI and what is not?
What you have just described is what you had in your opening remarks called the liar's dividend. And this is the real challenge. At Witness, we have a program called the Deepfakes Rapid Response Force. So this is a team of media forensic experts from across the world who provide timely assessment of suspected deepfake cases to under-resourced newsrooms. And in 2024, what we found was that a third of the cases that were escalated to us were actually of authentic audiovisual evidence of politicians doing or saying things that they are perhaps embarrassed by, or in some cases illegal, and claiming that it was a deepfake. So what we have seen is that this phenomenon has indeed presented itself as a shield for threat actors to evade accountability. So that is a real challenge. And what can we do? First is to recognize that this exists, that this is a cop-out for threat actors, for political actors to evade accountability, to deny real claims. And so there has to be a socialization of that being a possibility. The second is for the responsibility to be shared. At Witness, we call it a pipeline of responsibility. The onus shouldn't be on the end users alone to understand what is real and what is not. Neither should it be on the journalists alone. The tech platforms have a key role to play down the pipeline, from the regulators to the tools developers, down to those who are using those tools, and then the end consumer. There has to be a pipeline of responsibility, and we have to advocate for that. The third is for us to provide the resources necessary for newsroom to be able to effectively use detection tools and explain the detection outcomes, because we also know that there's something called the false positives, right? Where you
Yeah.
use a detection tool and it tells you that this is 98% a deep fake, but we forget that there is a 2%. Right? And that 2% in the margins of error really counts for a lot. So it is strengthening the entire ecosystem and not placing the responsibility solely on the end user or on the journalists, whom we know that the newsrooms in our country are significantly stretched. So we have to share that responsibility and also rely on partnerships. And this is where the Deepfake Rapid Response Force for Witness also comes in handy, and would also encourage newsrooms across the country to escalate cases to our force, and we'll be more than happy to respond. Between 24 to 48 hours, you would receive a timely assessment.
Wow, that is fantastic work. Well done. Now, how can artificial intelligence be used to positively drive the elections, from information down to how the servers work? Can INEC adopt part of AI to make sure that we don't have issues that occurred in the last election cycle happening again in this election cycle? So how can we use it positively?
Absolutely. AI has enormous potential to strengthen democracy if deployed responsibly. For example, AI can make voter education more accessible by translating election information into Nigeria's many languages. And we've also seen how this has been used in other countries that are just as diverse as Nigeria. So AI has the potential to be used in that way. It could also be used to simplify complex public policy and make information available to people with disabilities through voice assistants and other accessible formats. This is the potential for AI. It can also help citizens compare party manifesto, right? Because we see these manifesto documents, some of them are like 100 pages long, and
Right.
it's difficult for you to make sense of them, right? But AI can really help you understand electoral processes and access reliable information more easily. It can do that, particularly for young people who our attention span is growing thinner and thinner by the day. So the challenge is ensuring that these benefits are matched with strong safeguards. We need transparency. We need accountability. We need independent oversight so that the same technology used to educate voters isn't also used to manipulate them. So I would say that the question isn't whether we should embrace AI or reject it. That's really not the question. It's how we harness its benefits while putting the very right safeguards in place to protect the integrity of our democracy.
All right. We've said so many amazing things. You've provided so much insight. But the question now is, do you think we are really ready for the impact of artificial intelligence? Also, taking into cognizance the political actors that we have, in this election cycle. Do you think Nigerians are ready to actually navigate what will come with AI in this election cycle?
I think that, the challenge of AI is a global one. Like, a lot of countries are grappling with how to deal with this new phenomenon. It is arguably the next revolution. Like, people call this the AI revolution. It has transformed the way we interact with the world. So this is new, and it's posed such it's threatened the foundations of everything that is familiar to us. And as Nigerians, like, asking the question as we look ahead into 2027 elections, are we genuinely prepared for an election that is shaped by artificial intelligence? Honestly, I would say I don't think we are fully prepared yet, but I also don't think it's too late. The 2027 election, it gives us a critical window to act. So preparing for 2027 will require the whole of society response, technically. Like, we all would have it's on all hands on deck, from INEC to the government to technology companies to journalists, civil society, researchers, and everyone. We all have a role to play. We need clear rules, that is for sure. We need stronger partnerships. We need better digital literacy. We need investment in verification capacity, and we need a clear rapid response mechanism before and not during. So we have to act now. So I would say that we are at a critical window, and we should not wait until the first viral deepfake of the campaign to begin preparing. We have to prepare now. But I would say that we must prepare but not panic, right? Because there's no room for us to panic and begin to doubt everything and become cynical. That is not good for our democracy. We need to have a core, a good sense of a shared reality. So it requires us to have a critical mind, but not a cynical mind. So the decision we have over the next few months will shape not just the integrity of the 2027 elections, but the future of public trust in our democracy.
Thank you very much, Nkem. Thank you so much for coming on to the program. We appreciate your time. All right.
Thank you.